But here's where my biggest problem out of all this arises. If you're going to say Ohio State's the number one team in the country because of their wins and because of their strength of schedule and strength of record, that also has to apply to all the other teams, right? I would just love for the committee to answer this question. If strength of schedule and strength of record matter so much, why is Oregon ranked ahead of Alabama? Okay, so normally you know how we do things around here. On Monday, we react to the AP poll and I give you my top 10. But now, since the AP poll is irrelevant, I guess we're just going to push the video back from Monday to Wednesday, which is today. As we all know, or should know if you're a college football fan, if you don't know this, you gotta be living under a rock. The new college football rankings, they just came out last night. And yes, I did give you guys my live reaction to it. If you haven't seen that video, feel free to check it out. But I didn't give you my top 10 or my top 6 teams. And I'll give you a little warning and disclaimer up front. My top 10 is very, and I mean very different from the committee's top 10. And I'm going to be upfront and honest with y'all. I low-key forgot who was even ranked inside the top 25. So we're going to take a look at their entire top 25 while we're at it. Yeah, I can't dumb it down any more than that. The premise of this video is relatively simple. And oh yeah, by the way, we're not doing no intro, none of that. We're getting straight into it. I don't got time to waste, and you don't got time to waste either. You know how we start things out, 25 through 21st, and I really don't have too much to say outside of this. Watch out for Arizona. That's a really good team. That team is just quietly winning games and nobody's talking about them except for myself. I've been talking about them the past 4 weeks. And I really don't want to go on a rant and tangent. You know what I'm about to point out. Really? Iowa? Back into the top 25? Come on, man. Until Iowa can score 20 touchdowns in a regular season, they are banned from my top 25. Moving along here, though, I'll show you, I guess, 14 through 19. Nothing to be said. Missouri, though, they only dropped 2 spots after that loss to Georgia. Oklahoma State did creep into the top 15, which is really impressive considering how they started the year. It was looking bad, and Oklahoma's at number 17. 13 through 11, you got Louisville, Oregon State, and Tennessee's back into the top 15 as well. And here's your top 10, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the top 8 didn't even change for the committee. There's the committee's top 10. If you didn't see my live reaction, well, I'll show you in a short clip. Matt wrote a clip. Again? How? 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 Oh, I really don't want to overreact. But how do you watch Ohio State struggle? Kirk! No, Kirk ain't. No, I was about to put a camera at Kirk. But seriously, how do you watch Ohio State struggle? We're Rutgers and watch Georgia have a dominating win over Missouri and say, yep, Ohio State with a quarterback who really ain't that great is the best team in the country. I don't get it. And here we go, these nerds. All these nerds right here about to sit up here and tell you, well, Ohio State has the best strength of schedule and record. Don't even get me started on that. Y'all know how I feel about that. See, freaking nerds, man. They're doing it again. Well, the strength of schedule of Ohio State and the strength of record is better. I don't care. Georgia's a better football team. How about that? Oh my goodness, man. You seen it right there, and yeah, you could say I wasn't too fond of the committee's decision to keep Ohio State at number 1. But in this life, I am not a complainer. I'm a problem solver. So I have solved the problem, and I've given you guys my top 10. If you want early access to my top 10, guess what? I got some good news for you. It's free. I post it every Saturday night when the games wrap up. If you don't want early access to it, that's completely fine. Doesn't affect me one way or another. Here we go, though. Number 10, and this is going to shock a lot of people, I actually bumped up Missouri. The reason for this is fairly simple to me. I thought Missouri gave Georgia a good ball game, and since they played the number 1 team in the country close, I'm not going to de-rank them. I'm going to move them up. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you disagree with me having Missouri at 10, I understand it completely, but you could really throw 4 or 5 different teams in there. Number 10 was weird this week because it almost feels like nobody deserved to be in there at number 10, but you had to put somebody. I also wouldn't mind having Louisville there. I wouldn't mind having Penn State, but the only reason I didn't put Louisville or Penn State there is because, number 1, I think Missouri, if they played them tomorrow, they'd beat them. I just can't trust Penn State in big-time games. Penn State is good at beating the cupcakes, but they're not good at beating the big dogs. So I did want to explain as to why I slid up Missouri, and like I said, doesn't matter too much. Missouri, I believe, plays Tennessee this week, and Penn State plays Michigan, so that's going to play itself out. At number 9, I got Ole Miss. Nobody's going to argue with that. They just continue to win, so they're going to continue to slide up. Here we go, though. At number 8, I had this team originally at 5 last week. I have D-ranked Texas. And I will explain this because a lot of people are like, well, Matt,
Texas beat Alabama. How do you have Alabama ahead of Texas? Which is obviously true because Alabama's not in the top 10 yet, so you know I got them higher than Texas. Listen up, buddy. It's relatively simple. I'm evaluating this Texas team for their current roster, and right now they don't have Quinn Ewers. So right now, no, I don't think Texas is better than Alabama. I'll tell you this, though. If Quinn Ewers was playing, I would have Texas ahead of Alabama, but he's not. I have to evaluate this Texas team for what they are right now, and I don't think they're better than Bama. They haven't looked good in the past couple of games, and they got extremely fortunate to beat Kansas State. Meanwhile, Alabama dominated LSU. So I did want to explain that because a lot of people did have questions, rightfully so. Right now, Quinn Ewers ain't playing, so for now, until he comes back, I'm not going to be too high on him. Continuing along here at 7, I bumped up Washington at number 6. I also bumped up Alabama. These are relatively simple. Like I said, if I have Alabama at 6 and Washington at 7, that means I think Alabama would beat them tomorrow, and I believe that. However, I will say I do respect Washington a little bit more because they did beat USC by double digits on the road. That was a good win for them. At number 5, bumped them up as well. I got Oregon. And I know what everybody's going to say. Same thing for the Alabama-Texas game. Well, Matt, Washington beat Oregon. How do you have Oregon up ahead of Washington? It's relatively simple. I think Oregon's just a flat-out better team than Washington. I get it. I know Washington beat them. But the main reason they won is because Oregon made so many mistakes. If they play tomorrow, Oregon's winning that game. And remember, guys, this is my opinion. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. That's a part of the reason we have our community. That's what makes our community what it is. We all have different opinions, and it's great. But for me, this is my opinion. I said it after the Washington game. I thought Oregon was better, and Oregon just beat themselves because they couldn't get a 4th down conversion. Moving along here to my top 4, it stayed the same. Cinnamon Rolls, Wilbro State at 3, Michigan at number 2, and number 1 we got Georgia. As to how Ohio State is one of the committee's eyes, still blows my mind. I don't think Ohio State's just not the number 1 team in the country. I don't think they're the number 2 team in the country. Michigan has looked better than Ohio State. And I do want to show y'all this. Hold on. I hope I can find it. Hold on, buddy. Oh, here it is. JJ sent me this on Twitter today, and I love this. Because what has the committee said? Well, Ohio State has the better strength of schedule and the better strength of record, right? Okay, that's all fine and dandy. But they're hypocrites. You know why they're hypocrites? Because take a look at this right here. And I can't thank JJ enough for sending this to me on Twitter. If there's anything you ever want me to talk about or you have some good information or whatnot, just tweet it at me. More times than not, we'll talk about it in a video. Here's Alabama's college football playoff resume compared to Oregon's. Remember, Oregon, at least to the committee, is ranked ahead of Alabama. And I do have Oregon ahead of Alabama, but I'm not being a hypocrite. The playoff committee is a hypocrite because they say, oh, well, Ohio State has a better strength of schedule and record, and you already know the blah, 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 Joe Schmo talk. Okay, well, check this out. Alabama is 8-1. Oregon is 8-1. Alabama has 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 ranked wins. Oregon only has 1. Alabama's strength of schedule, number 8. Oregon's 63. Alabama's strength of record, number 4. Oregon's number 10. Alabama's key wins now, number 9 Ole Miss, I believe number 13 Tennessee, and now number 19 LSU. Oregon's key wins, Utah, Colorado, and Texas Tech, in which they struggled in that game. This right here is one of the best graphics I've ever seen because, number 1, it proves the college football playoff committee, they're hypocrites, and also they're losing credibility. I do have a problem with you putting Ohio State at number 1. I'm not going to act like I don't. But here's where my biggest problem out of all this arises. If you're going to say Ohio State's the number 1 team in the country because of their wins and because of their strength of schedule and strength of record, that also has to apply to all the other teams, right? But for the committee, it doesn't, because taking a look at this and by going off of what they say, Alabama should be ranked ahead of Oregon. I'm not saying that, but you also got to keep in your mind, I'm not the one preaching to you guys that strength of record and strength of schedule matters. That's the committee doing it, and the only word to describe it is hypocrite. I would just love for the committee to answer this question. If strength of schedule and strength of record matters so much, why is Oregon ranked ahead of Alabama? I'm just asking. Continuing along here, so my man Santa Claus, what about this? We got Santa arriving early. He had this to say, or he tweeted this at me. By the way, major shout out to Santa Claus. I love Christmas in this time of the year. He said, I really struggle to see why Ohio State isn't number 1. Rutgers is an actual challenge in the challenging Big Ten, the best conference in the nation. Rutgers is way better than Missouri, and Ohio State blew out Rutgers. Very disgusting. I just threw up because of this. I could be reading the room wrong here, but I'm pretty sure he's being sarcastic when he said this. This has got to be satire, right? I'm getting sarcastic vibes from reading this because nobody with an actual functioning brain would state the Big Ten is the best conference in college football. So to Mr. Santa here, I think you're being sarcastic, and I hope you are, and we'll leave it at that. But let's check out some of the other comments under my top 10 list because I always save the comments until this video. I haven't even taken a look at them outside that Santa one. TJ stated, Texas beat Alabama, but okay, and that got over 20 likes. And yet again, I get it. I understand perspective, but you have to understand my perspective. I'm evaluating Texas for what they are right now. They don't have Quinn Ewers. They got Malik Murphy. Texas struggled with Kansas State. Alabama has dominated Tennessee and LSU. I'll put it to you like this as well. Alabama and Texas, everybody's trying to act like they played in week 7 or week 6. They played in week 2. This Alabama team is completely different from the Alabama team that played Texas in week 2. That Alabama team in week 2 didn't even know what their identity was. Texas, ever since week 2, if anything, has gotten worse. Casey said, Washington should be higher in Alabama. I respect your opinion, but I disagree. I would not pick Washington currently to beat this Alabama team. Simply wouldn't do it. JJ the Michigan stated, here's his top 10, so let's take a look at it. Why not? Looks pretty similar to mine. He does have the Cinnamon Rolls at number 3 over Ohio State, and yeah, he does. Yeah, that is pretty similar to mine. I ain't got no problems with this whatsoever. This is a pretty good list, and thank you for sending it in. He does have Penn State at 10. That won't last for long because Michigan's going to beat their eyes in this weekend. There's many more comments I could read off, but I'm going to end it off here. Take you a last look at it. This is my top 10 heading into now week 11. Most of this will wind up playing itself out, so no need to freak out about anything. I also tweeted this out today. Here is what a theoretical 12-team playoff format will look this year. And I stated, I think I speak for everybody when I say this. We need a 12-team playoff format this year. This is the first year I've really felt like 4 teams weren't enough. So many good teams are going to be left out, shaking my head. Obviously, we can't do this because of just money reasons and the bowl games already set up, but I wish we could have a 12-team playoff this year. We need it. I don't think there's just going to be 1 to 2, but I think there's probably going to be about 4 to 5 teams that probably could have won the playoff that aren't going to get in. It's a shame we're only doing 4 teams this year. I'm ready for a 12-team playoff, but we got 1 more year left, so it ain't too bad. And plus, who doesn't want to see more playoff football? That's what I'm here for. I want to see more football. We might talk about that a different day, but for now, let me know your thoughts down below. But